Next step, final step, is we want to filter the tasks by location. So to do that, let's just put a little button down at the bottom of the screen. That'll act as a toggle button, which will say whether the user wants to show only tasks that are nearby or all tasks. To do that, we will cycle through all the tasks, and if the location's task is within a certain distance from the current device's location, then we will show the task, and otherwise we won't. And also we'll make some little layout changes to make this work. So that is in the main layout down at the bottom. Paste in some code. We want to add a toggle button, which is something that you probably haven't run into yet. At least we haven't in this class. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll call the toggle button show location tasks toggle, and it will work like a toggle button or like a radio button, sort of. It'll be either in an on or off, or a check button, sorry. It'll be either in an on or off state, but it's a little bit of a different look for the user. Then we're going to align that parent bottom, and we want it to be to the right of the remove button, and then we want to have a bit of text that will show kind of a description of that button. And if I save, I think I should get an error here because this string doesn't actually show up. So let's see, what do I have this in the comps to be? Show local tasks only. So I'll make a string that says that, show local tasks only. And then I can use the refactor string. Yeah, that's good enough. Then one other thing, just to give us some more room, the task view or the add task, I'm going to just give us a little bit more room here. We could come back later and I don't know, change these things to icons or something a little more user friendly. But right now, this will serve. I'm going to change add task to be a plus sign, and then go add that to string. So open up strings. And then I'll add a string resource called plus sign. And I'll make that a couple spaces for padding on a plus sign. So that will give us just a little bit more room. And let's look at the layout and see if it actually shows something here. It looks like it's doing some localization there. If I change this to portrait, we don't have quite enough room, but I think when it says on or off, it will actually give us some more room. So in any case, let's get that actually wired up. So if I switch back to the view task activity, and I get a handle to those components down in setup views. I will have a handle on the toggle button, and then I'll add that as a field, and then I'll add a click listener on the toggle button, which we will use to call a method called show local tasks, and then it will pass a boolean, and that will basically, the toggle button just acts like a button for most purposes, but it also has this is checked concept of whether it's checked or not. And that'll be a boolean, so then it'll tell show local tasks whether we want to show local tasks or not. And that'll be a protected method. I'll just leave that right here. And that will look like this. Let's just paste in some code here. Let's do it like this. So if it's checked, we're going to tell the adapter to filter tasks by the location and pass in the latest location. And then we will give it a concept of a filter distance, which I will create as a constant here. And that is like how how close to consider close. That shouldn't be a string. That should be a let's call it an int long. Let's do it as a long. Location filter distance, we'll make it 200 for 200 meters. So that's how close we'll consider local or local tasks. And then if checked as false, then we'll say remove location filter. So let's go into the adapter and create this method, filter task by location, on the adapter. Is it doing it? Okay, good, it is. Okay, so that will look like this. Filter tasks by location. What I will do is, let me just paste in the code. What I'm going to do is hold two array lists. One is all the tasks and one is a set of filtered tasks. And then I'll just switch between those as the tasks that the location or that the task list adapter is using as its list of tasks. So I'm going to create a field for filtered tasks, and that'll be a new array list each time because we may start off fresh each time. And then I'm going to go through each task, and if the task has a location, which once again, let's look at that definition. It's just whether or not latitude and longitude are non-zero. And then if the task is within the geofence of the location that we pass in and the distance that we pass in, these aren't actually showing up as the same thing that I had here. Okay, so if this task has a location that is within the filter distance of the location that we pass in, then we will show it. And we will do that. This is the question that somebody asked just a little bit ago. How do we figure out how close something is? There is a class that Android calls location. Here, let me paste in some code. Location is a sort of helper class to let us deal with the lat longs that are sent back by the location manager. Basically, it's what location manager gives you. Here's a location, but it also has some helper methods, and one of those is distance between. And the way distance between works is it either, well, so what you can do is pass in an array of floats and make it as big as you want results. You want the results to be. And the results are, here, let's look at the documentation. The results are set up like this. If the results is only one, has only one position, then it will give you the distance. And if it's 2 or greater, the initial bearing is stored in results 1. If it's 3 or greater, then the final bearing is stored in results 2. So bearing is if you're moving, then the location will know what direction you are moving. And if there's a, you can have locations that have an initial bearing and a final bearing, and I'm not quite sure under the conditions that will happen. But what we want is just, we want to get both, or we want to set up with just one position. So we just want the distance. So again, this is a float array that it will put our answer into, and then we'll just return the first one, whether or not it's greater or less than the location distance. Will say whether or not this task is within range. So if the result that it brings back is basically the distance between these 2 points is less than the filter distance, then yes, it is close enough for us to show up in the list. And then change these titles or these labels here. So once again, location, distance between takes a lat and a long, and then another lat and a long, and then says whether or not, or it says what's the distance between those 2 points in meters, and then it'll put it into the first position of this distance array, and then that will tell our adapter whether or not to put the task into this filtered task, and then we will set tasks equal to filtered tasks, and then we'll hold the whole list of tasks, and that'll continue to be held in this. Let's see here. continue to hold the rest of the tasks inside the task array. Yes. But what we'll do to remove the filter back here in the view task activity, we also call remove location filter if the checkbox comes off. So let's add that. That's what I didn't do. Yeah, I was wondering how that was going to work. Where did I set that up? For some reason I didn't set that up. Oh, I know what I did. Just have to paste in some other code. So, I wasn't quite making sense of how that was going to work. So to switch out away from the filtered tasks to the unfiltered tasks, we have to make somewhere to hold the unfiltered tasks. So I'm going to create this other field, which is an array list of tasks, and set that also equal to tasks. The tasks when we construct this adapter. And remember, everything is run off of tasks. So we get the count off of tasks, and we get the items off of the tasks array, and so on right there. But we'll always have a pointer at unfiltered tasks to the tasks that aren't filtered by location. So then when we set tasks equal to filtered tasks, task will be pointing to the ones that are only close to the certain location. But then when we remove location filter, all we need to do is switch task back to the unfiltered task and then notify that the data set is updated. So now we should be working. Let me run this. Okay, so now when I show local tasks, getMelk should go away because it doesn't have a location. Oh, it blew up. Yes, that's right. I didn't actually set up for the case just to keep the code simple. When we don't have a location, we can put in some extra checks for that to make it more friendly, like, hey, you need a location. Force close this. First thing I need to do is start this again. Oops, not messaging. Start up the task manager, and then go to DDMS and give it a location. So we send this, and now we should have a location. Show only local tasks, and now the getMelk should go away because it doesn't have a location. And then if I turn it off, then it will show all tasks. And if I come here and add another one, let's say something like, here's another famous address that I know. Visit the White House. Add a location to that task. The address is 1600 again. Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Map this address, and it zooms us all the way over to the other side of the continent in Washington, and we can say use this location. Add this task, and now we have two location-based tasks. Visit Google, visit White House. And if I shut off local tasks, or if I show local tasks only, then it will see Google because we are near Google. If I turn this off, then we'll get those back. And so that is our application. Any questions?
I like that little application.
It's fun to deal with location because it's, the real world. And it's especially fun to get away from the desk and go on field trips to test your application.
Definitely.
Tony, real briefly, can you try running that against London from the White House to London? We want to visit the Queen. We just want to see.
Oh, we want to visit the Queen. What is that? Buckingham Palace, I guess. What's the address?
Anyone know the
address?
address?
Buckingham Palace would work, wouldn't it?
Well, let's see if Google's smart enough.
Street. We'll visit the
10 Downing Street.
Oh,
10 Downing Street. Okay, we'll visit the PM instead. All right, 10. Oops. What is his name? Gordon Brown, right? At the moment, 10 Downing Street, London. I don't know. Let's see if this works. Whoa! Across the Atlantic. Nice. Works.
That was a fast zoom, too.
wow.
Yeah. Use that location. Add task. And he doesn't... we lost our location, so it blows up. All right. Anyhow. Yes, we can do that too. And I didn't program any of it. That's all Google, right?
I'm just going to ask
Can you
one
move
quick
us-
question before we wrap up, and then we can save all our questions to the end. And that is, how do we know when the GPS has spun up and has a good location? Is there a test that we can do?
Well, I think the better way to do it is, well, if it's not ready to give you a location, the location manager won't give you one. So if you really need something, anything right off the bat, you could use that get last location method that we looked at, or get last known location. I can't remember what it was right away, but that's what you could do to just get something, but that could be totally wrong. You never know. But that would at least let you start working. But then you could get access to both providers and then compare accuracies that are coming back and see if you have something that's within the tolerances that your application needs, because each application may have different needs for how fine-grained you want that accuracy to be.